Flack math! Give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Flack math!
Let's jump into lesson 41. We're going to talk about overall average. So average is still average. To find the average, you add everything up, right? And then you divide by the number of numbers, okay? So number of numbers. So it's still the same with overall average, okay? So let's do an example with just normal average first. So let's say that there's a 7, an 8, an 8, an 8, an 8, an 8, and a 9. How do you find the average?
What? You add them all up and then you divide by the amount of number.
All right. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just do a little bit of a shortcut here so I don't have to write everything. So if I just say 1 7 plus 5 8s, right? 5 times 8. Do you see what I did there? Plus 9, because that's really what multiplication is. You're just adding the same number 5 times, right?
I know what the average is.
So what is, we're dividing by 7. So what is it? 50. So what'd you get, Nathan?
8.
Nice, good job. Okay, and you can kind of figure it out because see how there's 5 8s and then there's a 7 on one end and a 9 on the other. It seems like it should be 8, and it is. Okay, so this is kind of like overall average. So you're basically taking your numbers, but you're putting some shortcuts in there. Okay, so let's say instead of these numbers, what we got is this kind of problem. The average of the first 3 numbers is 4. So do you know what those numbers are?
7, 8, 8.
We don't. We just know that the average is 4, right? So that means that it could have been 4 plus 4 plus 4, right? Divided by 3, right? It could have been that, or it could have been like 3 plus 4 plus 5, because those average to 4 as well. Or it could have been maybe like 1 plus 7 plus 4. It could have been those 3 numbers. All 3 of these situations have the average of 4. But what do all these add in common? They all add up to 12. So if we know the average is 4, well, they all just have to add up to 12. Well, here's what we can just say. We can just say the average of the first 3 numbers is 4. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is there's another sentence. The average of the other 7 numbers is 8. Okay, what's the overall average? Well, remember, we just have to add up all the numbers and then divide by the number of numbers. Well, how many numbers are there total?
7.
There's 7 plus 3, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we don't know the first 3 numbers, but we do know the sum of the 3 numbers. What's the sum of the 3 numbers?
4.
Well, the average is 4, but the sum is going to be 3 times 4. But you could just look at it like this. If the average of the first 3 numbers is 4, just put 3 4s. See how this is 3 4s being added. And then we've got 7 8s. Right? So if I wrote it out, if I wanted to write it out, I could say 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. How many numbers is that? 10 divided by 10 equals, well, what does that equal? So see how I could write it out long ways like that. Or just do the shortcuts, 3 4s and 7 8s. So that's 12 plus 56 all divided by 10. So then this is just 7.8. Because 12 plus 56 is, nope, 6.8, right? 12 plus 56 is 68. Divided by 10 is 6.8. Okay, so these problems are pretty easy because all you're doing is just writing out the problem with this overall average problem. Let me show you another example. Let's do example. This is example 1. And this is what it says. The average of the first 2 numbers is 6. And then it says the average of the next 8 numbers is 20. What is the overall average? Okay, well, let's figure it out. It's the sum divided by the number of numbers. So to calculate the sum of the first 2 numbers, it's just 2 6s. So 6 plus 6. And then the next 8 numbers is 20. So 8 20s. All divided by how many numbers are there? 10. 2 plus 8. There's 2 6s and 8 20s. So what do we get? 12 plus 160 divided by 10. We get 17.2. You know, when you divide by 10, you just move the decimal over, right? Okay, so do you see what I did? I just copied the problem down right here. The average of the first 2 numbers is 6. And then the average of the next 8 numbers is 20. Okay, so what's the overall average? So here's how you do it. First 2 numbers, you could just write it out, 6 plus 6 plus 8 plus 20 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 plus 20. And you just added 10 numbers. So divide by 10 to find the average. Okay. So this is weird because you're finding the overall average and you still don't know what any of these numbers are. Well, that's not how you find the average. You don't need to know the numbers to find the average. All you need to know is the sum of the numbers and how many numbers there are. You don't even have to know what the numbers are. You just need to know the sum of the numbers, and you can figure it out because you're given the average, and you need to know how many numbers there are. Well, if the average of the first 2 numbers is 6, well, if you have the average of 2 numbers, you just multiply the average times the number of numbers. So 12, you got 12. And then the average of the next 8 numbers is 20. Well, you don't know the numbers, but you know this, the average of 8 numbers is 20. So the sum is going to be 20 times 8, which is 160. So now you add the 2 sums together because all you want for the overall average is the sum of both sets of numbers, or the 2 sums added together, 12 plus 160 divided by how many numbers there are. Well, the first set has 2 numbers and the second set has 8. So it has 10. Okay. Do you guys want to do one more example and then we'll move on? Here's example. This is actually practice problem. It's not a problem set problem. It's just practice A. All right. The average price of 4 items is 40 bucks. So average price of 4 items is $40. Okay. The average price of the next 6 items was $80. Average of next 6 is $80. Okay, what's the overall average price? Okay, so see if you can take a minute and figure that out. Go for it. Okay, so I'm going to start here. So average of the four items is $40. So remember, we don't care about the numbers. We just want the sum. So our average is,
Says he has the answer.
oh, what do you got?
I got. I forget what I got. God, Mr. Flack, why did you do this to me?
What'd you get?
He forgot what he forgot what he got.
Oh, okay. So we don't care about each item. We just care about the sum of the first four items. Well, if the average of the four items is 40, what's the sum? 4 times 40. Okay. And then the average of the next 6 is 80, but we don't care about those individual. Do you have an answer, Austin?
64.
Okay, let's see if you're right. So we don't care about the individual items. We just care about the sum. So if the average of 6 items is 80, the sum is going to be 6 times 80. And then let's see how many items. There's 4 and then 6. So there's 10 items. Okay, so that's 160 plus 480 divided by 10. That's 640 divided by 10. Move the decimal over and you get $64. Is that what you got, Austin?
Yeah.
Awesome, Austin. That's Austin.
In my head.
That's awesome. They should just call you Awesome. Awesome, Austin. Whatever. Okay, does that feel all right, guys? Doable?
I feel like it's pretty decent.
Okay, good. All right, let's move on to 42. So 42, we're going to talk more about symbols of inclusion, which is a fancy word for parentheses or things like parentheses. Symbols of inclusion. And then we're going to talk about where division is in the order of operations. Okay. So lesson 42. Let's do this. So symbols of inclusion are nice because that you basically do what's in parentheses first, but you can also use them as just to do multiplication problems. This is just 4 times 5. When you have two numbers next to each other without parentheses, that just means 45. Okay. But if they're next to each other in parentheses, that means multiplication. So that's just 20. Okay. You could just have 1 in parentheses too. So that still means 4 times 5. Okay. It doesn't matter which one's in parentheses. If it's separated by parentheses and they're right next to each other, that always means multiplication. Okay. So let's do some examples with orders of operations. So remember, parentheses go first. So it's not PEMDAS. It's please excuse my dear and Sally. So my dear go together. So multiplication and division are the same order of operations, and addition and subtraction are the same order. Okay. So you don't do addition before subtraction or subtraction before addition all the time. It's whatever's on the left. Okay. So here's an example. See if you can do this on your paper. 4 plus parenthesis 3 times 5, right next to a 2, and then plus 2 right next to this parenthesis. So apply the order of operations and see what you get. Raise your hand when you have an answer. Raise it high.
Do you have a question? Or an answer? Still calculating.
All right, calculate. Yeah, I don't expect you to get it right away. So ammo's done. Should we give everyone else a couple more seconds, ammo?
Yes.
Okay, couple more seconds.
The thing that I do.
Michaela
and
on his head.
Are just out.
One went to the bathroom and the other had to go to the bathroom. It's the bathroom run.
Okay, what'd you get, ammo?
58.
58. All right, we're gonna put a question mark by that because we're gonna see if you're right. So what do you do first in this problem?
You multiply the parentheses first.
Okay, yeah, you do what's inside parentheses first. So you can do both of these at the same time. So this is, what is that? 3 times 5 is 15. And this is 15 minus 3, which is 12. Everything else, write the same. So it's still 4 plus 15. What happens when this parenthesis is right next to that 2?
Times 2.
That means multiplication. So times 2 plus 2 times this parenthesis, which ended up with 12. Okay, so now what do you do next?
I did that wrong.
Did you?
Yes.
That's all right. Nobody's perfect, but it's still the right answer. Look, you see that? You do multiplication next, right? So then you get 15 times 2 is 30, and 2 times 12 is 24. So then what we didn't do yet was this 4 plus, and then this addition sign. So if you add those across, you get 58. So what did you do different?
Well, I thought, I forgot. I was thinking that, I mean, I got it right, but after I did give you the answer, I thought that we had to, after multiplying the parentheses, or do the parentheses, that we had to go from left to right, which I didn't do. I multiplied first. But yeah, I got it right.
Yeah. Yeah, so you do go left to right, but within the operation. So do the multiplication and division before addition. So you do that. And probably what your brain did is you went left to right, but you did that in your head. 4 plus 30 plus 24. You probably just did it in your head. Okay. And so your brain is already being trained to do things in order of operations. So that's good. All right, let's try another one. See if you guys can chime in on this. Here's example 2. 8, right next to this parenthesis. All right, see if you can do that. This is going to take a little work. There's kind of a big multiplication problem in there somewhere.
Excuse me. We're waiting for one guy to come back, and then Ethan's next. Like 30 minutes in the back. Well, he had a stomach ache, so I don't know if he's still there. Ethan, why don't you go check on him? When he comes back, then you can go. Everybody's got tummy problems.
Oh, wow.
They're dropping like flies.
I'm not dropping it.
All right, did you guys get an answer?
They're still working.
Is it 123 or 123?
1, 2, 3. You're right. Okay, let's see what you got. So what I would do first is parentheses. So I'm going to underline the parentheses. And then I'm going to ignore everything else. So 20 minus 3 is 17. 17 minus 11 is 6 plus 3 is 9. So everything else is written the same. So 8 right next to that parentheses means multiplication. Minus 9 right next to 2.
Were you able to? Okay, yes, you may go quick.
Okay, so after we figured out the parentheses, now we rewrote the problem down here. And what comes next?
Then you multiply.
Multiply. Okay, so this is a big guy, but it's 136. This is 18. So everything else I'm going to write the same. So 136 minus 18 plus 5. Okay, go left to right. 136 minus 18 is just 118. Plus 5 equals 123. Good job. Okay, let's do one more example. So sometimes I have what we call inception problems. So we have parentheses within parentheses within parentheses sometimes. So we use different symbols of inclusion. So we can use parentheses, we can use brackets, we can use braces, we can even use absolute value symbols. And we can also use division bars. So blah, 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 something up here, something up here. Okay, so these are different, but for now, let's just look at these three here. So these are brackets, and these are braces. Okay, so sometimes you'll see some of these in, and that's just to help your eyes not wig out on these problems. So here's example 33 minus 2, right next to a bracket symbol. And then a 3 right next to a parenthesis symbol, plus 12. And then inside there, you got another 3 plus 12 minus parenthesis 5 times 2 right next to a 3. And that's all inside these brackets. So do you see why this could be confusing if this was just all parentheses? Look at how confusing this looks.
Yes, it does look confusing.
Doesn't that look confusing? So it's easier to kind of keep track when we choose different types of symbols of inclusion. Okay, so let's just go. What do we do first? Since we have parentheses inside of parentheses, which ones do we do first? Well, you can look at the big bracket. We do what's in bracket first, but inside a bracket is another parentheses. So we have to do those parentheses first. So let's see, that's 15. 5 times 2 is 10. So I'm going to rewrite everything. Okay. And this is where you're going to lose if you decide to just take shortcuts. So rewrite everything you didn't touch. Okay, so now we've got two multiplication problems inside that bracket. So we're going to do that. 3 times 15 is 45. 10 times 3 is 30. So I'm still going to write everything else the same. 33 minus 2 bracket.
Good.
Okay. So now I got a subtraction problem here. I'm still finishing inside of this bracket here. So that's okay. So do that. 45 minus 30 is 15. Everything else, I'm going to write the same. 33 minus 2 times. And now here's what most students do. You guys aren't most students, so don't do this. This is what most students do. 33 minus 2 is 31. Can't I just do that right now? No, you can't, because this is a big multiplication problem. 2 right next to this bracket, this is multiplication. So you have to multiply the 2 times whatever you get here first before you subtract. So this is going to be a very common mistake. Don't let that be you. All right, so now we're left with 33 minus 2 times 15, which is 30. So your answer is a cute little 3. Oops.
Well,
Anyone get 3?
I did.
I
did.
Nice. All right, there's one more part to this lesson. This is just where division fits in. It's not really anything new. So I'm just going to do one example and just make sure you guys are good here. This is example 5. So here it is, 5 plus 12 divided by 3. Or 12 divided by 2. Plus 3 times 4 minus 2 parenthesis 5 minus, oops, let me move my window here. Minus 2. Okay, so do that problem. Let's see what you get. Go, go, go.
Go, go. On his head. Hi, Dylan.
Good.
You go to the office.
No, I'm just.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Gotta get closer, huh? Yell it out when you're done.
You can try it in your head if you want, but it's a lot safer. And if you're taking a test, you should definitely write it out. But you can always try it in your head and see how well you do.
Seventeen.
Yeah, 17.
Nice. All right, let's see how we did. Hey,
Yep.
so what do you do first?
What's first?
So you do the parentheses first.
All right, so that's just 3, right? So
Mhm.
everything else, I'm just going to rewrite everything else. So this is 2 times that. So this is 5 plus 12 divided by 2 plus 3 times 4 minus that. Okay. Next step, what do you do next?
Then you divide and multiply.
Yes, so they're all the same thing. So don't separate these steps. You can still do all 3 of these at the same time. 12 divided by 2?
6.
6, 3 times 4, 12, and 2 times 3 is 6. So everything else I'm going to write the same. So this is 5 plus, then 6 plus, 12 minus. So now just go left to right. 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 12 is 23, minus 6 is 17. Good job, guys.
Can you
All
give
right.
us
Smart
Can
today.
you give us a free problem set question?
You guys don't really care about free problem sets, do you?
No, we do, just not like we do.
Because you didn't really work at all on any math on Tuesday after we ended up the call.
Xavier did 2 plus 1.
Mm.
No, it's 1 plus 1.
So tell you what, if you guys do some problems, we've got almost a half an hour left of class. So if you each get some problems done, then I will give you more opportunities for free problem sets, but you got to show me that you want it. So try to do 10 or more problems. Even if you do 5 problems, that's great, but do 10 problems. Every 10 problems, I'll give you a Flack Attack coupon. And Mrs. Powell can let me know, but everyone's got to push in and try it. All right. If all of you get 10 problems done today before you leave, and it can be any 10, so you can pick the easiest 10 problems. If all of you get 10 done, then I will give the class a free problem set. Okay. But all of you have to do that. So, but if only a few of you get 10 done, then you still get Flack Attack coupon towards a free problem set. Okay. Is that clear? Does that sound good? All right. All right. So go to work. Let's everyone get at least 10 done and you get a free problem set. All right. Mrs. Powell, let me know.
I will.
Mr. Flack, before you go, I have a
Yes.
question.
Uh-huh.
Can we collaborate?
Yes, you can collaborate. You can work together, but make sure it's just not one person doing everything. So wear your masks if you're going to collaborate. Compare your answers and check with each other and help each other out. Okay. Good question. Have fun. We'll see you next week. Okay.
See you next week.
Wait, what lesson? What's
All
the
right.
problem?
See you later. So yeah, your problem sets are 39, 40, and 42. So you can work on either of those.
Do they have a test this next week?
Oh yeah. Hey guys, we have one final test. So if you get your practice test done by Tuesday, you get 10 points extra credit. All right. So make sure it's done by Tuesday. It's already in the folder, ready to go. Okay.
Let's freaking go, boys.
All right. Let's freaking go. See you next week. Good job, guys.
Black man, give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Black man.